Hello everyone and welcome back to another YouTube video. This is going to be a Keiron versus Keiron mirror matchup guide, build order specific matchup guide. You can use this in other matchups of course, however I think it's currently strongest in this matchup. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Anyways, this build order is going to be focused around the Foundry and this line of tech here. This line is extremely strong in Keiron versus Keiron because of the Myriad. They're extremely strong. The Umbra, they're very good at harass as well. They can also kill Myriads quite handily. None of the air units really work as well because of the Subjector and because of the Vault. Yeah, Inducers are very good at picking off capital ships, good at long ranges, all that. Titans are great units as well. Elysium and Bio Keiron, is not really a valid unit composition in Keiron versus Keiron, because like the what do you call it? Just because of the Myriad. Myriad is like a moving siege tank. It's like an Archon. You don't go pure Zealot against an Archon or Mortal player, because Archons will destroy you. Except this is even more true. I'm sorry, little me has been blabbering over. I'm gonna go over a few things. These there's a very slight change to some of the oh my gosh, to the standard build order, the standard opener for the first minute or so, because of the balance changes, not because of this build specifically, because of the balance changes. So for one thing, before your 14th worker finishes from your citadel, or the second worker you produce, you do want to send out a converter just before it does finish, so then you can get down to the low ground on time. About like 2 to 3 seconds, like about 3 blizzard seconds away. So then you can reach down in time to start this edifice. I generally like to wall off in almost all matchups. It does definitely help with defense, especially because the more you can skip units in the early game, the more ahead you can get. Now, once you're saturated with 14 workers on your mineral line, your 16th worker, so at 16th supply, you will rally this converter, and you'll rally to scout across the map. The next worker will be rallied down to the low ground also to build the citadel. This is quite well timed actually. It will work out quite well. You can send this worker back up to the high ground to mine, although you'll have to almost immediately send it back down again, so I haven't been bothering recently. Potentially if there's a worker missing off here, and if you're top 10 GM, you might be able to snatch like 2 extra minerals worth of time, but that wouldn't really matter. Then this is still standard build order. You'll start up the Sanctum when you have the money, then immediately you'll get double Formulator. Yeah. So you will see me resuming from replay a few times during this, because I was resuming from replay quite frequently to try and keep things as tidy as possible. Immediately you do want to saturate this Formulator. You could probably be a bit faster with it than I was. And saturate this formula as well. Formulator. Now, at this stage, there's a little bit going on all at once here. So once this Sanctum finishes up, so once you have supply, otherwise, I generally don't advise this unless you need to, perhaps against a Reaper and for Terran. But if you can, it is slightly more greedy and slightly better for you if you save your Vault production just for a little bit, because Otherwise, it will supply block your converter production just for a few seconds. It shouldn't matter very much. But anyways, as soon as this finishes up, I will warp in 2 volts for defensive purposes over here, or shape in 2 volts rather. Okay, there's 2 volts. And then right about the same time, so very, very soon, I'll reach 75 gas and immediately make a foundry. Now, after I've done that as well, you want to take 1 converter out of each gas. This isn't entirely necessary, but if you're potentially at a high level or you really want to nail this build down, this will make it a bit faster. Definitely make it slightly faster and more efficient. Now this citadel will keep rallying workers over here and saturate this mineral line, and down in the low ground will saturate the low ground. Once your main base citadel has saturated this on 16 workers, your main base on 16 workers, you will then want to rally workers from the citadel just to fully saturate these formulators again. But I'm not entirely sure about this, but it might actually be more efficient to take 3 workers out of gas. As you can see now, I'm flooding a little bit more gas than I need to. I only need 75 gas to start the formulator, but at the moment I don't have the minerals for it. So right now, as soon as you have the money as well, you want to start up your second foundry. Again, rallying workers over here to your main base. So this will go back to mining. I will send this second worker down to the low ground. These volts will chew on these rocks a bit. All the while, potentially scouting with this converter, you probably will have sent this worker back by now, or it will be dead in a real game. I've just left it on the other side of the map for a while in this one. Now, again, once you have the gas, you want to start the Wraith Chamber upgrade for the Umbra. This will make them quite a bit more potent, especially at defending against an opponent, especially against an opponent with using the same build. Something really nice as well is that you'll perfectly get the same amount of gas that you need to warp in this Umbra with rallying workers back into gas like I did. Send this across the map. It's very good at harassing workers, harassing mineral lines. Oop. It's another resume from replay. And oh, my bad. And yeah, it's a good unit to have. Bonus versus armored, bonus when it's cloaked, so it can be good versus defensive because of that. At defending because of that, rather. Continuously warping in Umbra when you can. Something I forgot to cover as well, my apologies guys, is that after you started up your second foundry, actually quite a bit after you, no, that's right, after you start up Wraith Chamber, because minerals are quite tight in the early game, then you can start up a third formulator. You can do a 4th one later as well. You could potentially do a 4th one now, although I'm not entirely sure on that yet. I don't think you should though. I think you want to save minerals for Umbra and Citadel. Now, after your first Umbra has been sent out, before your second one, you do want to send a worker out to make your third base at around 350. Well, you could probably get it a little bit tighter than that. So again, continuously warping in Umbra, or shaping them rather. You want to harass with these, although you don't see me doing that in this replay because I wasn't using APM to do that, but I did want to try and keep all my APM, just making sure this build is as efficient as possible. Again, round about after you send out your second or third Umbra, once you've started your third base, let me get a 4th gas as well, because we do want to then be transitioning towards the Atrium tier of tech. So while continuously warping in Umbra, you will float more gas because 3 gases is enough to continuously produce Umbra with a little bit of gas left over as well. So you will eventually reach the amount of gas needed to produce an atrium, which is 200 gas. So once you do reach that amount, you want to then produce the atrium. Always with your gases as well, immediately fully saturate them when they finish. It is quite important that you do this. A lot of the Foundry tech, the really powerful tech units of Keiron, they're all very gas intensive. As you see here, this is 100, this is 250, this is 175, and then also 225 for the Titan. So very important. And then also a second atrium as well. Myriads are incredibly important. Myriads are a lot like Archons in Protoss versus Protoss. Simply whoever has the most will just win the fight, and then win the game probably as well, depending on what the game's like. So it's very, very important that you do this. Something that I probably could have and should have done is start up. Is that what that upgrade's called? Anti-Subterra Wings. No, Anti-Subterra Wings. Sounds Greek. Maybe it's Latin. I don't know. I heard Solstice did get a few of his naming ideas from those. I think it might have been for Genetron though. As well as this though, you can either choose to get this upgrade or skip Umbra production for a bit, or get an Elysium. So you could either get two of those three options, but you won't have enough gas to afford all three. So once you start up your second atrium, you can either decide to get this Anti-Subterra Wings Anti-Subterra Wings upgrade and an Elysium, or continuous Umbra production and what have you. I'm not entirely sure which is better. You can probably think about that yourself a bit. But you do want to immediately be walking in the Myriad once you can. So you could afford all three, but then your first Myriad will be delayed, which is not worth it at all. As soon as this Myriad is out, you want to be using it. I mean, no. What? As soon as you have the charge for it, you want to be warping it in, shaping it in, because saving up the charges will delay your next Myriad, which will give your opponent a massive advantage. And a very hefty opportunity for a time as well. So continuously walking in Myriads. In this fight, the power of the Myriad is actually quite obvious. So I didn't even target fire down the vaults, which I probably should have in this fight. But the Elytron, they do so much damage. This is why Bio in Keiron vs Keiron, or at least a bio-focused build in Keiron vs Keiron, is completely invalid. Like, just 2 Myriads would be enough to give you so much of an advantage to be completely unstoppable. Now these Umbra are also incredibly strong at sniping them, especially with that Wraith Chambers upgrade. There's a lot more extra damage. You could potentially just come around with as a flank if you're being attacked when you're trying to defend, or if you're the aggressor yourself, sniping those Myriads as they come out. Now something I should have done, at this point the build order's mostly over, but around about now, especially once the minerals at your third base are fully saturated, feel free, and please do this, just make a lot of edifices. And now you might go, well, you, Magical Cookie, you just said Bio sucks. You said it's trash. That's right. It is trash in head-on engagements. However, it's still nice. It can still be very useful to have a few vaults. Just kind of like stalkers in or comparable to Stalkers in a Arcanum Mortal Zealot army, which you don't really see very much of, but you can see a couple just for anti-air, just for a little bit of range. They are nice for that, but especially and more so for pariahs. A lot of pariahs just absolutely harassing your opponent to death. Which is why you see me getting Exalted Shields now that this Elysium is done. A lot of pariahs, a lot of ults. You can potentially have a secondary army. You can have, like in Protoss versus Protoss, you have your main Disruptors Stalker army oftentimes, and then another Zealot DT squad. So you can potentially do something similar to that, where you have your main army of Myriads, Umbra, Inducers, Subjectors, and then you have your secondary, a lot more mobile army, which you would use to harass, pick up bases, engage your opponent's harass army, of much more mobile Vault Prior kind of force, perhaps with Subjectors chucked in as well. So, yeah. Something else that you could do that I didn't actually think of in this game is just to make more Sanctums as well. That is something that that did not occur to me. If you do want to make higher amounts of Subjectors, or really Subjectors at all, getting that Amplified Spheres upgrade is very nice for them, especially in these kind of myriad versus myriad battles where these Elytron are sent out. With that extra range, they'll be able to sit further behind so they don't get hit by the splash of your opponent's Elytron. They can sit behind a lot more safely and support a lot more easily, as well as simply that backup kind of anti-air kind of role in case your opponent is weird enough to do that. But yeah, I think this is roughly the end for this video. Once you have started all these essential upgrades, gotten your Elysium, feel free to chuck down double Reliquary, triple Reliquary, just a single one maybe. Get some of those upgrades as well. Those are very important. Although I haven't played enough of Keiron versus Keiron to know exactly their importance in Elytron versus Elytron battle. It's interesting. It's called Elytra here, but it's called Elytron here. Maybe I should talk to Solstice about that. But I can imagine that it's quite a big deal. Like in Protoss versus Protoss, those upgrades are very essential. Each blast, you can imagine splash damage, right? Like splash damage, Elytron, small HP, massive damage and small HP, and splash and all that. You want to have upgrades. Killing your opponent's stuff, Elytron faster is going to be absolutely huge. A little thing which you don't really see very often is this little melee attack. Could be useful in base runs. Kill your opponent's drops quicker. It's quite helpful. But yeah. At this point I kick my air out of the game, and I'm going to kick you out of the video because the video is it's time to be over. So I'll see you in the next one. Perhaps I might be uploading a little bit more regularly for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because I am currently now just started on some more nice holidays. So, see ya.